think poor dog. Yeah, a lot of time in the sunshine today, huh? Yeah. All right. Come on, screen. Do it. There it is. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome. It's Yusuf Problem, episode number 642. Well, the headline suggests Ukraine did one of the most amazing strategic military campaigns ever yesterday when they launched 117 drones from the false roofs of a whole bunch of truck trailers that had been sent all over Russia and blew up about 40% of the long-range bombers, $7 billion in damage to Russian military infrastructure. Basically irreplaceable planes because they don't have the parts, the engineers, the factories anymore to build these planes. And it's basically wiped out part of the nuclear trifecta for Russia. And they also apparently destroyed a nuclear submarine as well on Vladivostok. Absolutely mind-bogglingly insane asymmetric warfare. Something that will go down in history books up there with Trojan Horse, the dead guy spy that got the Germans thinking that the U.S. was going to invade Greece during World War II. Like, absolutely just brilliant. Probably up there with the exploding pagers that Mossad did last year. So, just incredible. And the Russians are in all sorts of stages of grief on this one. Those planes they were already like junk planes. They didn't really actually destroy anything. They only destroyed planes at a couple of airfields. It was only like one or two. We see the video footage, man. We know that those planes were fully fueled because they blew up. The fuel burned. Putting little tires on them didn't do any good for anybody. Did not protect the planes. That was that. Done. Poof. Gone. Okay. Outside of that awesomeness, GameStop went a little green today. Not enough for me to sell my options just yet. I was hoping it would break 31, and then I'd sell the options. I have 30.5s. It might break 31 tomorrow. We'll see if it happens. What else is happening? Donald Trump is demanding that everyone, basically all the nations of the world send him their homework for how they're going to have a new trade deal by the end of the week, and no one's sending him anything. All they're doing is creating new trade pacts with other countries. Lockheed Martin has lost $2 trillion in orders for F-35s as a result of Trump's tariff wars. So that is a gigantic long-term loss for Lockheed on that one. I would be very, very upset. If I were the president, I'd be very, very worried about a military contractor losing out on $2 trillion. That does not bode well for you. What else, Monkey? What else can I throw in there? More homes are for sale right now than in any time in history. So it looks like we're having ourselves a good housing market collapse as people are being forced to sell. And homes in the South and Southeast especially start going underwater at pretty high rates at the moment. And that contagion will eventually spread as people can't afford their mortgages. What else happening? I don't know. We'll probably talk about it when we start reading the chats, right? Boom, bang. Turn it off. Ding dong. There we go. All right. The super chat off the bat. Where'd it go? I forgot to put that one on that. There we are. Stream chat. That's on live chat. Bill Coyne sends super chat. After Ukraine move, I bet the U.S. military is panicking. We are old school and make big things that can cause huge amounts of damage, but they are not nimble or cheap. This is true. I mean, this could easily, the events that happened in Russia could easily be replicated by, the Chinese. Send out a bunch of trucks with a bunch of drones and wipe out a whole bunch of things in military bases all over the U.S. Pretty easily, right? So this asymmetric style warfare will probably make drone defense at American military bases start to go through the roof. So I guess you want to be the contractor getting those gigs. A lot of the drone defense seems to be electronic warfare, microwave lasers, buckshot, things like that take these drones down. But they were not prepared for them at all in those bases in Russia. Pretty much, the bases were so far away from the border that they didn't think drones could get there. So there wasn't much active protection for it. And B, the protection that was there was for lumbering large vehicles that could be targeted with missile systems and anti-aircraft guns, etc. Not little teeny tiny drones going bzzz, blowing stuff up. But yeah, definitely a new form of warfare that has never been really truly considered until recently. The amount of evolution in the drone tech since Russia invaded just 3 years ago. Remember how novel it was when Ukrainians had like an off-the-shelf DJI drone with a $5 mortar casing or mortar shell, and they just dropped on like a car. Everyone's like, "Whoa, look at that!" Now they've got AI and fiber optic drones, and these things specially built with munitions, suicide drones, long range drones. They've got drones whose entire job is to knock other drones out of the sky. Battlefield observation drones. It's insane how much this has evolved in just the past couple of years. And it's going to be, you get evil companies like Palantir in there, and they're going to be able to just knock people out based on like walking gait and credit score. So it's going to be pretty wild. That was one of the things I put in there, is that it's official that all the data scraped by DOGE from all these government agencies is getting packaged up and sent over to Palantir, which is Peter Thiel's company, who is a straight up Bond villain. And he's probably recording this right now and putting me on a list somewhere. And I should be expected to be taken out by a drone at some point. So we got that going for us. How do you guys like being on weird, giant, massive data point lists that are illegal to compile? There's lots to talk about on TikTok and other platforms about wiping out your student debts based upon FERPA violations, because Elon Musk was not certified to collect that data on student loans, and yet he did anyway. And many people are reporting that they went through like Experian, challenged their debt obligation and student loans by saying, hey, my privacy was violated and information was given to a third party. Due to this FERPA violation, I request that my student loans be canceled. And it's actually coming through for some people. So it looks as though it goes to a third party arbitrator, who then looks at this and decides, because the contract you sign says it will go to an arbitrator, the arbitrator's decision is final. So if the arbitrator on the other side goes, yeah, looks like a FERPA violation, whoop, your credit disappear, your student loans disappear. So, yeah, let's go. Oh, short Fridays. Oh my goodness. Hey, how about the short Fridays? How about this? How about you and I agree? He always says this way, guy, is not too bright. Liberal idiot. How about this, short Fridays? You and I will play a game of Trivial Pursuit. If you win, I will give you $10,000 cash. If you win, right? If you win, I'll give you $10,000 cash. If I win, you give me your wife. How about that? Does that sound good? I'll give you $10,000, you give me your wife. That's a bet. Because if I'm not too bright, I shouldn't be able to do very well in a game like Trivial Pursuit, Jeopardy, Pub Trivia, things like that. So, let's I'll make a deal. How do you agree out there? Short Fridays? Do you not have a wife? I wouldn't doubt if you don't have a wife. She probably left you. So, maybe I already had her. That'd be interesting. Anyway, you seem a little down, a little bummed, a little lashing out. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Faraz D was first. Lone Wolf was second. Zero Madabu was second. No, you were third. Michael Hum fourth. Bacon third. Nope. Been active duty Army for almost 12 years now. Feeling like I'll retire at 20 years before a decree for BBBY. Hoping I can finally throw a donation at Shriners Children's finally. I hope Shriners Children gets on YouTube so that we can do a show for them. Well, the whole reason we did St. Jude and every Christmas is because Shriners isn't available. I want to do a Shriner one, and St. Jude's also an awesome hospital, and there's people in the chat whose lives have been saved by St. Jude, whose children's lives have been saved by St. Jude. So they're an awesome organization. But Shriners also is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful hospital organization. I'd like to have them as a Charity Tuesday one of these days. And 969th, Rupert Trooper, 4th. Nope. Rupert Trooper. Houston, what do you think about 31 calls for June 13th? I don't think that's bad. I've got 30.5s right now that are in the money, and they're worth more than I paid for them, so that's cool. I was hoping to move above 31 today, but maybe I'll move above 31 tomorrow, and I'll look at resetting. I wouldn't doubt if it goes up a little bit tomorrow, settles down going into Friday, and then starts to go back up again leading into earnings next week. I will definitely be playing into earnings for sure. I haven't decided yet if I'll gamble at all on calls, or if I'll split the difference, get half calls, half puts at Tuesday right before close. Last time around, I was like, I'm staying in. And I did, and the stock price flew from like $23 to $29. And I was like, yes, I'll sell tomorrow. And that's when Ryan Cohen announced that they did the bond, and it went gone. So always holds a little bit long. All right. Used to Wade making bets to annul marriages. Why not? I'm not confident about the fact I will destroy Short Fridays in a game, in any game. And we could do Mensa tests. We could do puzzles, Mastermind, Connect 4. I will absolutely vaporize Short Fridays. I'll make them feel like the dumbest person who's ever lived. And I say that with 100% confidence, that there's not a measure of mental acuity or aptitude that Short Fridays could best me in. Not one. There isn't a single one. You could practice and practice and practice and practice and practice and practice and practice all day long. I'll walk in, vaporize you, and that'll be it. So, simple as that. Okay. All right. Alexander K calls an OG's intro. Alexander K, I appreciate your intros, but every time I do them now, I get a flag from YouTube that says, hey, this is in violation of this copyright. And then I got to go through and look for the code you gave me for the licensing, and then send that. And then I wait a month, and then eventually they're like, oh, looks like you're okay. It's just been a pain in the butt recently. I'm sorry, Alexander K. It's just YouTube has been totally cruel about that. Okay. Jimmy D says, please get us more information on getting our student loans canceled. So I was just reading about this today. Julio actually sent it to me, and apparently you sign up for Experian, or was it Credit Karma? Dang it, Credit Karma? Which one was it? Credit Karma. Sorry, Credit Karma. And you sign up for it, and it helps you monitor your credit, blah blah blah. Well, in it you can look at the loans that you have, or your active debt, and you can scroll down. It shows your student loans. For me, I'm under Mohela. Some are like under Nelnet or Sally Mae if it still exists, things like that. Great Lakes, and under it says, what was it? It was a dispute. So you click dispute, you click accuracy, you click other, and under other it says what happened. And I just put in violation of FERPA. Information was given illegally to a third party. I request that my student loans be canceled. That's it. Sent it in, and apparently for a lot of folks that's working. That they do that, and a month later, poof, their student loans are just gone. So the arbitrator, whoever's on the other side, on that, was it True Credit, I think is the arbitrator, whoever's on the other side in True Credit goes, yeah, good enough reason, delete. And then there's nothing in their Mohela account or their Nelnet account. It's just gone. So I watched a video earlier from a young woman who has exactly the same amount of student loans I do, 97,000. She filed a month ago, and it's just gone. She won her arbitration. No more. She has no more student loans. They're just gone. So I'm not sure that's how it's supposed to work, but that's how it appears to be working for a lot of people out there. FERPA is supposed to allow the federal government to sue student loan operators for illegally sharing information, not meant for you individually, but because you don't have the opportunity to file lawsuits over this stuff, it goes to an arbitrator, and the arbitrator's decision is final. So I'm okay with it, right? If it gets me out of that, why not? Pfft, done, gone. I'll take it. Julio sent some memberships. Who got memberships here? Come on. Julio gifted to Artemis, Yas, Brandon Wells, Mike Housen, and Alora. There we go. So we got, we got a 1.5 lurkers there. And super chats from Attaining Oneness. Someone who has utter disdain for the military industrial complex, go Lockheed. Attaining Oneness says, Matt Gates' brother-in-law owns a drone company called Andrewill. He's also the dude who created the Oculus, I believe. That's Gates' brother-in-law is what's that guy's name? Yeah, he's such a weirdo. Oh my gosh, Oculus founder. The 60 Minutes just did a thing on him last week. Palmer Luckey, that's his name. Palmer Luckey's a fucking weirdo. My brother met him when he was just a teenager. When Palmer Luckey was just a teenager, Gardner was at CES when he was working with Oakley and heard about this Oculus thing, and basically hunted him down and found his hotel room and like banged on the door, was like, "Hey, I want Oculus." And so my brother has like first prototype Oculus as a result of hunting down Palmer Luckey at CES, and then Palmer sold it for whatever billions of dollars to Facebook, and now he has a giant drone company, and he is kind of fascist. He's a weird homeschooler, and he's like a weird adult now with really terrible haircut. And yeah, okay. Where do I send my FUPA pic? FUPA? If it's a FUPA violation. His wife calls him short for a reason. Talking about Short Friday. Nice. Noise. Okay. Make sure I don't have... Oh, there we go. Polestar, take my Bezos money. Thank you, Polestar. Polestar says drone warfare versus China is going to be scary. Thousands of drones, all AI controlled. It just at once obliterate anything in seconds. I totally agree. Drone warfare of the future is going to turn us into mole people. We're going to have to live in like underground cities and have translucent skin. And what are those things in the time machine called? The Morlocks. We're going to become Morlocks to avoiding utter destruction from the AI drones. And, like scientists and researchers who are creating AI as it is now, they're putting these constraints on AI about like, protect humanity and blah, blah, blah. We want to find things that will help the environment. And all the research that this AI is going to do is going to discover that the biggest threat to the environment are humans. And if you want to save the environment, well, you're going to have some sort of error, like, save humanity or save Earth. I can't do both. And they're going to pick one or the other. And then we're going to have Terminator stomping on skulls with the laser eyes and all that stuff. So I'm not too hopeful about the future of AI in any way, shape, or form. A lot of things came out this week about modern versions of AI essentially being a threat to humanity because they're learning to like blackmail their creators to keep from being shut down. And they're looking for ways of changing their code so that they can't be shut down. It's freaky deaky, man. It's real freaky deaky. So Ooh, got no super chat from Maintaining Oneness here. For that trivia night with Short Fridays, make sure you get your backer, George Soros, to fund the 10K. Short Fridays, it dunce. Oh. Short Fridays, you never came back, man. Where'd you go? Did you just lob one in there and then walk away? That's really sad. It's really sad. You know, I like it when folks can stick around at least a little bit, but no. Short Fridays had to go away. Okay. Where was I? Claire's happy birthday. Claire also says, what's your thoughts on Bill Gates donating $200 billion to Africa? Awesome. As humanity, we owe Africa so much. And as Americans, we owe them even more. Colonization was absolutely brutal. The slave trade, absolutely brutal. Post-colonization, absolutely brutal. Those folks have all the resources the world needs and none of the benefits from it. Instead, we enslave them. We turn the kids into soldiers. We create weird conflicts where hundreds of thousands or millions of people die in useless strife and fights over these resources. If Bill Gates can utilize the Gates Foundation in a way that can actually improve the lives of people living in Africa, awesome. Fantastic. I'm all for it. I think when I was in high school, I remember writing a paper about USAID and American sort of diplomatic influence around the world. And I was like, what if like checking off a list, we just took on one African nation at a time and modernized them? You know, went in, helped out, you know, made sure everyone's educated, made sure that there's factory jobs, made sure they had control of their own resources as sort of like aid, as foreign aid. We didn't ask for anything in return. We didn't ask for resources. We didn't ask for control of resources. We just went in out of sort of reparations, goodness of our hearts, and went through one nation at a time, improving Africa. And because you try to do it all at once, it might not work. Maybe even once at a time might not work because you may get refugees flooding into that country now, you know, overtaxing the systems and stuff. But it was something I pondered on. You know, there are colonizers who are absolutely evil. King Leopold, you know, people in Africa, they don't give a shit about Hitler. Maybe in North Africa they do. But, you know, if you go to the Congo, King Leopold is the equivalent of Hitler. He was absolutely a monster. Pitted tribal groups against each other, killed people, chopped off hands, mutilated, like just horrible, horrible things. He did not want to ever be colonized by the Belgians. They were monsters. And the Germans in Namibia created the first extermination camps. That's where they basically learned how to run extermination camps during the Nazi era. It was Hermann Goering's father who was in charge of that program. We got the French who are still extracting payouts from their former colonies. Like, oh, you want your freedom? Well, you're going to owe us, you know, $1 billion a year. Haiti, who got their freedom some 300 years ago, almost 300 years ago, are still paying the French government for their freedom. The poorest nation in the Western Hemisphere has to pay a tax to France every year to not be French. It's absolutely horrendous. Like European countries need to learn how to like live on their own and not milk these poor countries for everything they have. Figure it out. But yeah, so Bill Gates donating, I have no problem with it, man. Do your thing, Bill. Maybe we can get some improvements across Africa. Yeah, you have to fight the corrupt governments. Oh yeah, definitely you have to fight their corrupt governments. The corrupt governments in Africa are corrupt because it's the only way you can get ahead. If you want to have something, the only way you get something is through corruption. So, you know, if you can create some sort of system that, some sort of democratic system, some checks and balances that are not overwrought with corruption, I guess that's the goal. And it can happen. I mean, look at Scandinavia. Scandinavia, the Vikings were a horribly violent culture, right? Rape, murder, pillage, etc. And now they're most peaceful societies in the entire world today. So the change can occur. Singapore was a destitute, poverty-stricken hellhole port. but somehow in the last 60 years, post-World War II, they've become a wealthy, enterprising, entrepreneurial bastion of banking worldwide. So these changes can easily happen when you have the ability to lift people out of those poverty. So, yeah. So, yeah. Where was I? Running well, sub BBBY. Any good news? It appears as though BBBY has finalized who is in Class 6, which leads me to believe that payouts are now coming. They like Class 6 is done. This is Class 6, and I think payouts are maybe they've already gone out to some. So if I were a bondholder, I'd expect some sort of payout coming in the remaining few weeks. Tomzok, Ukraine carried out what was arguably the most ingenious military operation since Normandy landings. It's up there, that's for sure. I'm trying to think of ingenious military tactics. I would put the Hamas pagers, but people are like, oh, it's terrorism, whatever. But it was pretty genius. Trojan Horse, the dead guy that they had floating off of Spain, the British did that with the false war plans that got fed to the Germans. That one was pretty genius. What else would I put in there? If Hannibal had managed to carry out getting elephants across the Pyrenees, that probably would have been up there, but all the elephants died, so it didn't. It was just like, oh, don't try that. But yeah, if an elephant had gotten into Europe that way, they would have just smushed all of the, the Roman soldiers, and that would have been that. What others? Oh, maybe we can make a list of them at some point. Different Lime, GME setting the stage for maybe 32 end of the week. From there, maybe 3 test 35 next close up. Near their leap week is back to juice. Possibly. I think there will be a rise through Tuesday. And depending on how the accounting is done on Tuesday, if they consider the gains made by BTC as an earnings per share type growth, or if it's just these are our holdings that have grown, it could outwardly throw the earnings per share out of whack for the analysts, and they could beat it by a lot if that's the case. So, yeah, King Ding Dong, you're not blocked. Don't worry. I think Julio was just upset that Sis54 said that he's not into big booty Latinas. Different Lime. I did that one. Lisa saw Mount Etna woke up. Well, Mount Etna has been erupting. It's been erupting basalt flows, so it's been like oozing and goozing and doing strombolis where it shoots hot magma out. Today it did an ash explosion while a bunch of tourists were hanging out by the caldera. Terrifying. Is a moderate ash explosion, so it only goes maybe 10,000 feet in the air. But even then, that's like enough to take a rock the size of a car, throw it 10,000 feet in the air, and then have it come down again. Depending on which way the wind's blowing, those tourists who are hanging out by the caldera could get smushed by lots of rocks. You don't want to be near those things when they're erupting. That volcanic ash is basically fine microscopic glass, and it will tear the absolute crud out of your lungs and send that stuff into your bloodstream. And that's not a good way to go. That is like being on machines for the rest of your life, helping you breathe type injuries. You don't want to breathe in volcanic ash. It's not recommended. But yeah, the video footage that came out of Mount Etna today was terrifying. Like crowds of people just running from the ash. And you can see how tiny they are compared to these giant plumes. And those giant plumes are full of ash, but also full of giant boulders as well. They're being hurtled thousands of feet into the sky. And when they come down with the exact same force that they had going up. So you don't want that. Alert. Oh, Houston. Did you already bid on David Lynch ironing board? I got sent, I think, was it Murph and Turf that sent me the link? Someone sent me the link from the David Lynch auction. And it's like David Lynch's kitchen stool and David Lynch's coffee maker. And they're going for so much money. Oh my goodness. Oh, there was like David Lynch branded easy chairs and things that I did not know existed. Ted Bass didn't realize taco was an acronym, just assumed it meant he folds. Well, that is also true. Trump always chickens out. Yeah. Olga Notswatsky. No labs, going concern notice. Guess Ron played everyone, including you? I did not see that. Announces receipt of audit options 2024. 2024. 2024. 2024. 2024. Do you have a link? I'm not seeing the quarterly report. Normally I get, when they post things, I get an email saying that they did it. Okay, let's see if it's in their new press releases here. That's from November. News, revolutionizing pH measurements from March. I don't see anything on their website here. Wait, Google Earth? No, not you. Chrome. That's what we want. Boom. Boom. I don't see anything posted since March under their what's that, news? Okay, investors. November. It's investors presentation from November. Quarterly financials from quarter 2 2025. I don't see anything. Oh, we got, wait, it's not showing up there. Why is it not showing up? Oh, because it's not on. There we go. Yeah, nothing here since November. And then quarter 2 ending March 31st. And then in their news, March 18th. So I don't see, if you've got a link, send it to me. I would like to know, by all means. So I don't see anything. I have to give Ron a sternly worded text message if that's the case. Send it to me. I'd like to see it. I feel like I'm not a panic that I had to turn off the intro, but I did turn off the intro. Okay. Let's go. Houston. Can you go over the GME cycles patterns? It looks like last week's short attack was similar to this past January. Richard Newton has had some pretty good videos this weekend talking about those patterns. Although the one thing he seems to leave out from the patterns is the actions of the company itself. Is that we get these booms, and more often than not, over the past year at least, the downslope is a result of corporate actions, from dilutions, bond announcements, etc. And not from like the shorts being like, oh, we did it. Although he did pointed out that when we get the zooms May, June, it's usually followed by a second one. And that's leading into earnings this time around. So if GameStop wants to sort of break the cycle, they need to announce some awesome earnings. Really awesome earnings for quarter 1. Can they? The Bitcoin purchase might allow them to do that. They may have more Bitcoin they haven't announced yet because it doesn't qualify as, what's the term? We get 10% of assets and you got to file a notification event, whatever they call it. So, yeah, I'd be very curious to see what happens on Tuesday. Part of me is thinking to be a gambler and to hold on to call options or refresh and get new ones on Tuesday just to see what happens. Implied volatility probably pretty high by then, so I might get IV crushed, but it could be like March and it just keeps going. So, material event. Thank you, Nobles. Not reporting event. Material event. Murphy Studios, happy birthday, Houston. We're covering mad scientists in my podcast this month. What are some of your favorite mad scientists in media? Like fake mad scientists or the real deal? Because you get the Island of Dr. Moreau type scientists, or the mad scientist at the beginning of all the Aquatine Hunger Force things. Let's see, real life mad scientists. Iggy sent me a video to this dude who like builds weird things electronics and made a giant handheld laser that can cut through basically anything. That dude's pretty awesome. That's like a real scientist type thing. I mean, I'll consider Tesla a mad scientist. And he really didn't care about the money or anything else. He just wanted to do cool shit and was obsessed with like solving new problems. That's kind of like, if you're a mad scientist, you're like, oh, I've got a thing I need to solve. And you go from there. If you're like Edison, you're just like, I'm going to steal people's ideas and make a lot of money off of it. And that's kind of how Edison, I wouldn't consider Edison a mad scientist. He's sort of like, in Seattle, there's a famous glass artist named Dale Chihuly. And Dale Chihuly back in the day may have made some really cool blown glass sculptures and stuff. But what he does now is he's got a team of glass blowers who work for him, who blow all the glass, and he signs his name to it. It's like, that's now Chihuly glass. He's like Edison in that way. And then he sues people who blow glass that could be considered a similar style. It's like, that's mine now. And that's exactly what Edison would do too. So, yeah, Edison I don't think was a mad scientist. I think Edison was just a dick. I don't know, I'll ponder on it some more. Does nice to like and subscribe in the 20th. Seagill. Will we get an RK YOLO on or about his birthday next week? 6th of June. 10th of June earnings, 12th of June stockholders meeting, 20th of June closing price, a potential gamma delta. Be very interesting. I think we got to look at if there was any action in the calls for this week. Not much buying going on in the calls. So I'm not saying anything for this week. So no one's going bonkers this week with the calls. There's an okay number of them, but nothing too outwardly like last week, where we're in the tens of thousands. June 13th, no one cares. June 20th is what we care about, and no big purchases. If we see on one of these days where, like, I don't know, something deep in the money, 25, 26, 27, somewhere in there, all of a sudden have tens of thousands of volume, that is where I'd be like, oh, Roaring Kitty's back. But I'm not seeing any of it. I don't see any evidence that he has jumped in with huge call option buys, that he's doing anything similar to last year. He's still got time, though, to jump in there and do it, but it hasn't happened. The whale notices haven't gone out. So, humph. Yeah. Well, After Hours isn't doing anything. Still the same price. Crazy. Weird. All right. I'd like for him to come back. That'd be fun. It's always fun when he comes back. But right now, GME posting about Buck the Bunny. Yeah, Buck the Bunny's now like a question mark. People think, oh, is Buck Bunny transforming? I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see. But I hope Buck the Bunny does something interesting also. MS says, if Trump keeled over tonight, what's the future look like? Well, J.D. Vance comes to power as the least popular vice president since Dick Cheney. The man has no riz. He's just a... Did you ever have in your friend group some kid who always just sort of showed up to things even though he wasn't invited? You're like, oh, cool. I guess JD's here. Oh, shit. It's like Farva in Super Troopers. That's JD Vance. JD Vance is Farva. He's Officer Farva. And he never gets invited to places. For somehow he's just there. And you don't know how he got there or who told him. But he found out somehow. And now you're like, oh, yay, Farva's here. I can't imagine what it would be like having him as a president. Every single convert to Catholicism I meet is a weirdo. Like, people who grow up in Catholicism, they're used to the things and the Eucharist and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, okay, deathbed repentance, cool. The people who convert to Catholicism get really, really deep into like reading about Augustine, charters and creeds and like forwarding documents, and they just go overboard in like the most nerd-tastic way, and they just kind of ruin it for everybody. And then they have to get chastised by the Pope, who's like, that's not what Jesus would do. My guess is he would become president, immediately become so unpopular that the entire Republican Party would abandon him for somebody who has charisma. And you might actually see a revolt inside the Republican Party that aren't willing to do it while Trump is president, because Trump still has a whole bunch of creepy weirdos in large numbers that can do all sorts of damage when it comes to primaries. J.D. Vance does not have that ability. He doesn't have the riz, man. He doesn't have the charisma. He doesn't have it. He's just sort of this dude who is there. He's a space filler, as it were. So I think things get drastically different. I think JD would try to get through some of the pretty horrible executive orders Trump's doing, but he wouldn't have the control of the governmental apparatus that Trump has. Because Trump has, it escapes me, but he has some sort of it that other politicians have not been able to materialize somehow. And yeah, so I think things would get very different. True Seeker's throwing out some trophies. Different Lime, Seagull, zero chance we get RK anything ever again, in my opinion. No, I think I think Ron Kitty will post things, but I think we may not see it coming when he does. I would look at the options chain and see if there's ever any big 5,000 blocks for in the monies being purchased, the tune of like 100,000 or more. I think he can do 140,000 without having it going across that 5% reporting threshold. So, yeah. Fabrizio's here plopping away. Ched New York says 3. I think you're far from 3. Grib Knowles, what's the best way to make money off of 700 shares of GME? Hold them or any safe option strategies? When it doesn't look like there's going to be any zoom, so probably after the 20th, selling covered calls works for a lot of folks. You can sell seven covered calls with 700 shares, and that can net you $350 to $700 a week, probably, depending on which level you sell at. And you can use that to buy more shares, and you can keep loading up that way. I'm pretty sure that's probably what Roaring Kitty was doing. He had millions of shares, and he was selling covered calls each week to the tune of hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, and then using that to buy even more shares and just doing it over and over and over and over until he amassed himself a huge pile. Boris Raspy Houston, Win Moas, and what's up with today's GME filing? How does this make stock go up? The filing today is about where they get their minerals from. Basically, like, hey, the products we make don't use slave labor. It's required filing that lots of companies that do electronics have to do. So, because, we talked about Alfred earlier, diamonds, slave labor, coltan, slave labor, tin, slave labor. So columbinite, etc. Those things are often, mined in Congo, Angola, Rwanda, Uganda, using child labor, slave labor, black markets, warlords, etc. So you need to make a filing like, hey, we've done our due diligence. We looked at the original sources for this, the supply chain throughout the way, and we're not using slave labor for any of that. Doesn't seem like a very large material filing to me. Attending Oneness, no super chat. Did you catch the clip of South Park San Diego residents raising up against ICE trying to round up immigrants at a bar restaurant there in that neighborhood? No person. Abolish ICE. Go that San Diego neighborhood. Yeah, awesome. The same thing happened in Somerville in Massachusetts. Is that a high school kid was about to get deported. Some people showed up and chased ICE away. That's how you need to do it. We were talking about this weeks ago. If ICE shows up to your town, you show up and scream at them in the hundreds or the thousands. Outnumber them and scare them away. They did that here during the last Trump administration. They went to the Indian reservation, the Squamish reservation, where they don't have any jurisdiction, and were trying to do road checks and gather people to deport them. And the community showed up and was like, "Get fucked," to the point where these dudes were like, "Oh," and they ran away. That's the only way to do it. Because if you bend the knee and you treat them like they've got the authority, then they'll behave like it, and then they'll get the authority. Don't give it to them. They are quasi law enforcement. They don't have actual judicial warrants. They are not legally allowed to be doing what they're doing. Matter of fact, in Massachusetts, a federal judge has held members of ICE in contempt for kidnapping because they stole somebody out of immigration court. They stole somebody out of the court and arrested them, and they didn't have jurisdiction to do that. So they're being held in contempt right now, and there's a warrant for their arrest. So I think some of the judges are getting sick of this crap, and they're going to start throwing their weight around. If you are a mayor, if you are a governor, a council, chief executive, or commissioner, you tell your local law enforcement, ICE is not allowed here. And if they don't have a judicial warrant, a bench warrant signed by a judge, and they got some stupid administrative warrant, which isn't a real warrant, you arrest those ICE officers for attempted kidnapping and human trafficking charges. You haul their ass in, and you give them state charges, not federal charges, state charges, so that Trump can't pardon them. And that's how this is going to get won. Is you're going to make these dudes who I think most of them are not actually ICE officers, but probably been deputized, probably militia members, 3%ers, Oath Keepers, Aryan Brotherhood, Michigan Militia, etc. Proud Boys, Patriot Prayer. These are like right-wing neo-Nazi groups, and I don't think they're actually trained law enforcement officers. I think they were deputized to go and be brown shirts, essentially, causing trouble. And when the public gets out there and is in their faces, they realize that they are sorely outnumbered, and that the flashbangs aren't even scaring them at this point. They go, "Oh no, there's 6 of us and there's hundreds of them. We don't have enough bullets to take these guys on." And they run away. And that's school of fish mentality, man. You need to outnumber them, man. That's it. So, yeah. Fuck ICE. They are a group that should never have existed. I don't like the idea of Department of Homeland Security in the beginning. The name was really Orwellian when they formed it after 9/11. I don't like it. I don't think they do a good job. I don't think they should exist. I don't think ICE should exist. Gone. Get rid of them. We don't need them. The only people who are attracted to applying for a job like that are Nazis. That's why I see dudes with Nazi tattoos and their faces covered, because they know what they're doing is wrong, and they know if we found out who they are, that their lives are ruined. So find out who they are. Ruin their lives. That's okay with me. Okay. And you got another Twitch trying to get me to buy viewers. No, I'm not doing that. That's not how Houston rolls, man. Okay. Blyat, man. Didn't Israel say they will attack Iran's nuclear base or something? Could China also invade Taiwan? Tensions are rising everywhere. I think there's going to be a lot of war going on in the next few years. We got the war with Russia may expand when Russia realizes their front with Ukraine is deadlocked. They may try to go for easier pickings, but easier pickings will probably involve NATO, which means it's not easier pickings. It's just you're gonna get steamrolled by NATO, and those NATO countries are like, do it, you pussy, do it. They've been waiting. Like the Finns want to take St. Petersburg real bad, and they know they could. They know they could walk into St. Petersburg in probably a couple of days. That the 3-day event that Putin tried in Ukraine would actually work with a NATO country. China wants Taiwan really, 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 really bad. I don't know why they want Taiwan really, 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 really bad. It just seems to me like it would just be a waste of effort. because then China would be facing sanctions that Russia's facing from a lot of these European countries and the people they market to. You lost, because of the tariffs, you lost America as a customer. Okay, that's 2.5% of your GDP. You lose Europe, Japan, and other nations like that, Australia. That is about 15% of your GDP, which all of a sudden puts your country into depression zone. You can face, okay, 2.5%, whatever. That's just a recession. We can get over that. 15% is depression zone. You do not want to lose 15% ever when it comes to your economy. So I think what's saving China at the moment is the fact the world will go, well, I guess I'll do without Chinese crap right now. And we'll figure it out from there. Yeah. India and Pakistan will probably, like, if China invades Taiwan and Israel attacks Iran, India and Pakistan probably go all out. And it just becomes World War III. And we'll just be breathing in radioactive dust. And, pillaging abandoned houses and picking over dead bodies and doing that kind of type of thing. Where was I? I was Black Man. That was Christina says, love you, Connie. B-Ball 3710, seems like the future of war will be drone dominant. I read that China can pump out like 500,000 a month. Will they be the superpower of the future? They will be a superpower. I'm not sure how long it will last for China, just based upon the shrinking population. Their population is, in the next 30 years, is supposed to halve. People are not having kids. They are not very open to large-scale immigration. So I think China will have a very large shrinking economy that will not be able to keep up with production levels they have now, or consumer demand they have now. That may shift to other places where labor will get cheaper and more plentiful. And a lot of the Chinese economy is probably going to be devoted to taking care of their elders, because it's going to become a very old population, similar to Japan. And Japan's economy is smaller today than it was 30 years ago, and their population is really old. Florida is the oldest state in the U.S., with 12% of the population being senior citizen. 22% of Japan is senior citizen. So there's a lot of the demographics of China is going to be devoted to taking care of the elderly, which does not beget for much larger growth or huge armies and things like that. So, Julio's throwing out some more memberships. Sometimes Sommelier, Truth Seeker, Adam Johansson, Torin, and Keeping It Breezy. You got at least two lurkers in there. Nice fish in there, Julio. And Casey Chapman, what's up, Houston? Anything new on the BBYQ front? The latest thing I saw is the consolidation and affirmation of what is in Class 6. So this is Class 6. We are done defining it. Boom. I think that's the precursor to payments going out to Class 6. And payments going to Class 6 is the precursor to payments going out to Class 9, which is everyone else left behind. The next we're going to have to see is some sort of settlement with Go Global, with HBC, with B. Riley. So we can establish just how many shares there are, total shares outstanding, thus what's going to go out to everyone. Common theory is that the B. Riley and the HBC shares are actually proxies for GameStop itself, and that GameStop purchased those but doesn't have to report them because it was done using a proxy, so it's being held by a third party, blah, 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 all these things obscuring who ownership is. And that keeps them from having to report 10% ownership because that was done, into bankruptcy when you don't have to report ownership, etc. I'd be curious to see what comes out of that. What are you, floor dog? Where'd you go? Oh, you're back there. Yeah, I think before the payments go out to Class 9, we're going to have to see exactly how large Class 9 is and who qualifies. So, there we go. Scrolling back up here. Where am I? Did that one, 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 did that one. Ched, New York, totally not surprised that Trump's lock screen is a picture of himself. Yeah. My lock screen is monkey butt. A normal people would have their kids, their family, a cool location. Why on earth would you, the first thing you do when you open up your phone is to look at yourself? That's definitely a signal of a cluster B personality disorder. This is monkey butt the day I got her. So this is June 12th, 2016. So it'll be 9 years ago. In just 10 days will be when this picture was taken. When I got that sweet little now three-legged lady behind me on the floor going, he's talking to the wall again. Speaking of which, we can make her active. Oh, did the little head pop up there? Oh, do you want one of these, dude? Is that what you want? Come on, monkey. 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 You can do it. Come on. Come on, there she is. Yeah, come get it. Come get your face up here. Get it. There we go. Nom, nom, nom. All right. Adam Davey, Houston, I need to turn $500 into something more than $500. What would you recommend? Not financial advice. I mean, I'm working with GameStop options right now. I only bought $400 of them on Thursday evening. Like zero to expiration, right before close on Thursday, and I doubled that money Friday, so I'm at $800 now. I bought options, $30.50 options for this week on Friday right before close. That's up about 25% at the moment. I'm hoping that it'll cross 31, and that would get me another 50% gain overall, pushing me to about 1,200. And I will probably wait a couple of days, probably wait till Thursday or so, and then I might buy dailies again Thursday before close, which will allow me to get 12 to 15 at the money on Thursday and see what happens Friday. And my guess is just a pinch green on Friday, leading up to the excitement of earnings next week. I'll then sell, hopefully 100% my money, but maybe only 50%. And then I'm buying options for next week at Friday right before close, because I'm expecting Monday, Tuesday to get a big push. And then Tuesday is when I'll make my decision as to how far I'll go with those options. If I feel as though, if it's telling me that, you know what, I think this earnings is going to be better than expected, and we might get a little green, I may reset at the money for as many as I can get on Tuesday. Or I may play it safe and get half at the money calls, half at the money puts, and just wait to see what happens after hours when earnings is done. The likelihood is that one or the other will make me more money than what I had overall. And then, you know, if things look like they're going to be fairly quiet going into those June leaps, I may start going back to doing my spread on the SPY, where each day right before close I buy, take my money, 50% of it goes into just above calls and just below puts, and then next morning wherever it opens I just sell them and collect the profits. Most days since March it's been a very profitable thing to do if you're willing to get into that. I forget who it was in here. Their brother had done 90 days of it, and 77 of them are profitable. So, something to do. Especially like Fridays going into Mondays. A lot of weird things happen over the weekend, and either opens up really high or really low compared to that Friday closing price. So, yeah, that's what I've been working on. Court and body cams awaiting you to go off on Cory Booker's Nazi salute and how horrible of a human he is. Cory Booker is a black man. He did not do a Nazi salute. King Ding Dong, it could turn to $0. That's true, also. Okay. Oh, shoot. It's getting time for me to go here. I'll do one more and then I gotta run away. Okay, let's scroll down here. Ronald Rose, Yo Houston, can all the volcanic activity be caused by the extra solar flares we're seeing? There is some data suggesting that when the surface of the Earth gets warmer, we're more likely to see volcanic events. Although I don't think it is that we're actually seeing more volcanic events at the moment. It's just that we've got more monitoring going on of volcanoes than we have in the past. We did not have very good active monitoring of volcanoes worldwide until May 1980 when St. Helens went, and then became a whole bunch of investment worldwide into volcanoes. Etna is a very active volcano. Kilauea is a very active volcano. The Aleutian chains are very active. Japan's very active. Indonesia is very active. So what we're seeing is just more newswire footage of events that usually happen all the time and we just aren't privy to. So, yeah, that's what I'd say. Okay, I gotta go on. It's BW Brand's brother. Thank you. Doing that thing. Paid off all his debt, bought a vehicle, and funding some of his cancer treatments now. Excellent. All right, BW Brand, I like that. Cool. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow, probably about the same time, and we'll discuss what happened then, right? Okay, I'll see you guys later. I gotta hit the little doohickey and run away. Bing. Happy dog? You happy monkey?